But Politico came out with a piece that 5 ideas of what Biden might do next. And Robert Besser, president of the CEO of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, suggested President Biden, and I quote, must help Americans recognize the barriers that harm and hold back so many people because of structural racism, sexism, ableism, among others, that took centuries to erect and will require years and significant sustained resources to eliminate. Must help Americans recognize. Must help Americans recognize. So we're unaware. We don't know about all this systemic racism. We don't understand about the sexism. We're too stupid to know. Biden knows best. Our government knows best. Sure, okay. We're helpless, of course. But if no one's going to convince me that competence and skill, in terms of ableism, are social constructs that must be eradicated. And that this can seep into race as well. The reason someone's being chosen is because of race, not because of their skill level. The reason someone was picked above someone else has nothing to do with their choices in terms of working later hours and the pay raise, the wage gap, in terms of like a career path and so on and so forth, and leaving, a job to have children and then coming back and then you're not getting paid as much. Oh, that's because of your sex. No, it's a choice. It might be relative to your sex, but it's ultimately your choice. Men, by and large, get work longer hours than women. It's not a sexist thing. It's just a reality. Jordan Peterson's talked about this in some of his data sets. So when you start to talk about everything in terms of the binary superficiality of race, we have to eliminate race, but then celebrate race is the most important thing, or your sex. All these superficial characteristics are both bad, but also must be celebrated as being who you are. Identity politics in a nutshell. He went on to say, I was going sidestep for a second, that white supremacy is the number one terrorist threat to the United States right now. That's interesting. The number one threat, maybe period, to the United States. White supremacy. It's very self-deprecating. It's very humbling, I think, the thing to say. At the same time, it's also a bit disconcerting. It's constantly these superficialities over and over and over again. Back to ableism. I don't want an NFL where ability is no longer a prerequisite, just as I don't want a doctor with no hands to perform my open heart surgery. It's not being racist or an ableist. If you want to be an ableist, balance the association of transgender funding to the transabled who have been thrown into the bus. People who believe they should be disabled and they believe that their hands should be cut off. They believe that they should be blind, that they were meant to be born blind. No one's supporting this group in terms of financial support, largely because it undermines the LGBT community, particularly the transgender community, because it brings up the idea of mental illness. Justifiably so, because it's a very strange thing. It's nouveau, it's odd, but that's messed up. That's ableism. And that's happening internally amongst these groups, these progressive groups, and choosing which groups to support and which not to. Just saying. Ableism. What does that mean? I want to play in the NBA. I want to be a wide receiver for the Washington football team, Redskins. I mean, come on. I'm not trying to be completely, provocateur. They're my team. The Redskins forever. I think people will say "Hail to the Redskins," "Hail Victory," the whole song. They're not going to change it. "Hail to the Red Wolves" or whatever. It's always they're still going to say that song forever in the stands. Black people, Indian, Asian fans of the Redskins from years past that know the heritage. It's like, this is not race. This is our team. It's also funny how in football, when you're bad for a long time, it's almost more interesting than when you're like the Patriots. It's like, we might win. Oh, we were going to get Trey Lance. We just moved up in the draft. Oh, we could be good finally. Robert Griffin, huge. Oh man, that was a pipe dream for a second, wasn't it? I never thought he could read defenses. I was kind of concerned about him coming out. It turned out to be true because once he couldn't do the bang slants, and sorry, I don't want to get into sport. NFL drafts, coming out. Maybe we'll talk about that later on tonight. I don't know, maybe. But the point is, Robert Besser and President Biden want to make this all about the most superficial characteristics of people. That's what we have to conquer in this country. The police shootings, ignoring all data sets, black people are just being targeted. And that's the white people thinking that they're just arbitrarily better. And the people that are pushing this agenda, like Biden, are the establishment. Billionaire white people are pushing it, I think, to control the revolution, to control the Front, to protect against the masses, the precariat coming up. They're trying to synthesize revolution in the best way Saul Alinsky could explain in his book Rules for Radicals, to control, to make it seem like these people, empower them, give them a sense of control, but you pull all the strings, so you have the purse. You decide what you want, where the riot's going to be, who to fund. It's very manipulative, and it's also very alluring, because if you don't have any power, someone to say, hey, all you have to do is go along with our propagations, our agenda, proselytizing this and that. Joy Behar, someone on TV saying, all you have to do is say this. I'm like, I don't know if I agree that this is correct. Well, if you just say this, we'll pay you $2 million a year, and you're on TV once a week for 5 minutes. Sure, no problem. It's very alluring. Who's not going to do that? It's very alluring. That's just the reality. It's nothing more, nothing less.